guys, listen up.
Let's talk pet names.
I'm not your babe.
Honey.
Brown sugar.
Precious.
Squaw.
I know some of you think that it's harmless.
But it's actually belittling.
Demeaning. And totally sexist.
This holiday season, when you're entertaining family and friends, think about supporting local business.
In this great place we call home, we have a strong tradition of helping those in need, lifting each other up. That's community. That's what public services are all about.
With the union behind you, we have security. We have protection. That's how I feel.
They are making change happen in the world, and it's a beautiful thing.
The president of the province's largest public sector union is sounding the alarm about the safety of its members amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
We called them heroes, brave working people who looked out for us when we needed it most. When the snow just kept coming, they got us through. When COVID shut it all down, they left their families to work for us while we stayed safe at home. They cared for our loved ones, rushed us to hospital when our lives hung in the balance, provided care when a new life joined us, ran the tests our health depended on, and delivered life-saving treatments. Whatever the challenge, they met it. They risked their family's health to protect ours. Now there's threats of cuts to public services and rumblings about privatization. When we needed them most, the NAPE members we called heroes were there for us. Now we must be there for them.
Hi, I'm Jessie. Things were really bad at work. So last year I called NAPE. We all knew something had to change. Jackie at NAPE, she walked us through the whole thing. Privatizing public services in Canada has been a big mistake. Costs went up, service went downhill, and good jobs were lost. Profits went to huge corporations instead of schools, hospitals, and roads. Things got so bad, governments in several provinces brought services back to the public sector. Things improved right away. We must say no to privatization of our public services. Say no to this big mistake.
I love the work I do.
I love serving my community.
I miss the young people we care for.
We believe our cause is just.
My resolve will not weaken.
My belief will not fade.
I'm cold and I'm wet, but that's okay.
We are family.
We are the real choices for youth. Thank you for your support.
After 5 weeks, there was no more picket line at a downtown youth center today. That's after a tentative agreement was reached last night between NAPE and Choices for Youth, the Lily.
Hello everyone, I'm Jason McLean, President of the Nova Scotia Government and General Employees Union. Here at NSGEU, we've been able to jump into diversity and inclusion, implementing a whole new Black Lives Matter Summit, which has been quite successful in talking to employers and bringing employers in and talking about the issues that they have in their workplace and the biases that they may bring around when they are hiring people, our potential members. So we felt that we would start with the employers, talk to them about their issues, and it has taken off and been quite successful. So that's something we're looking to continue on going into the next term and try and reach every employer, because diversity and inclusion is something that's real in Nova Scotia, and the workplaces need to reflect Nova Scotia itself. Another issue we were dealing with over the past term was pushing forward for reclassification for our LPNs in acute care. And we were successful at getting a 12% raise for all LPNs across this province. Not only that, we've worked out a 23% raise for continuing care assistants in the province, which is really changing how people view careers in long-term care and home care. We pushed it, but this new government that came in, they did come with the raise, and now we're able to look for more going into bargaining in terms of scheduling, benefits, and looking at pension plans as well, better pension plans. The true crux of the work that we've done over the last 3 years has been through occupational health and safety as it pertained to the pandemic. And I have to say, the National Union has been a great help for us in advancing the issues moving forward. So when our borders first shut down, we quickly had to change gears and see what was going on in every workplace. And what we were doing was right to refusal work, seeing what's going on, fighting for PPE, masks, and so on and so forth. And we just continued on that role. But it was the weekly meetings that we had with our National Executive Board that really strengthened us on our resolve on where we were going with certain issues and bringing them forward. So, for instance, if I went to a meeting, I'd be talking about vaccine mandates and asking questions, how are vaccine mandates affecting your province? And other components would chime in and tell me what was going on. I learned a lot from our National Executive Board and our representatives from the other components. I just want to thank the National Union and the components that are all here in this convention hall. It's because of your leadership, our National Executive Board, that we got together and we got to feed off of each other to bring forward all of the issues that we've been dealing with on this pandemic, and not only that, helping shape each individual component's way through this pandemic. That's what makes us all stronger.
Hi, I'm Karen Jackson, President of the Prince Edward Island Union of Public Sector Employees. We have been very busy here at OPSEU during the past 3 years since our last national convention, not only dealing with the never-ending issues arising from the pandemic affecting our members, but also lobbying for change. Some of the issues that we've dealt with is paid domestic violence leave. I am very proud that OPSEU was the driving force to ensure this legislation was enacted and that all Islanders now have access to 3 paid days. First contract legislation was something else OPSEU lobbied for. Prince Edward Island was the only province in Canada that did not have this legislation in place, and I'm pleased to say that it now exists. Violence in the workplace is something OPSEU has always been out on. No worker should ever have to go to work feeling unsafe. Our lobbying has led the government to form a provincial steering committee on workplace violence in which we have a seat. Privatization is something facing all unions across this country. We have been lobbying against privatization of our liquor and also in our mobile response team. We were able to push back and keep our members unionized. Nationally, long-term care has had many challenges. We have been lobbying for increased staffing, increased wages, proper recruitment and retention for frontline workers, and for long-term care to be brought under the Canada Health Act to ensure national standards across this country. We also ran a campaign with our members talking about the realities of working in the front lines. We continue to deal with issues that are ongoing with the pandemic. Never before has the importance of public services been so recognized for keeping Canadians safe during the past 2.5 years. I am so proud of how our members collectively stepped up and provided the vital services that Islanders and all Canadians depend on every day, despite the risk to themselves. Thank you for all that you do. is Karen Jackson, President of the PEI Union of Public Sector Employees. This is a difficult and uncertain time for Islanders, and especially for those who work in essential services. On behalf of the 5,000 OPSEU members across the province, I want to express our appreciation to our members and all Islanders who are working through these challenging times to help keep Islanders safe. Thank you, and please, stay safe.
When we were asked to share our successes from the past 2 years, the first thing that came to mind is our members showed up. While on the surface that doesn't sound like all that impressive, once you understand what workers in our province faced, just showing up and doing their job seems like a miracle. Our province spent the least of any place in Canada to help its citizens during the pandemic. Over and over, it made contradictory public health decisions, allowed politics to override science, tried to hide nearly $1 billion of surpluses as long as it could try and force workers into taking wage freezes. Our healthcare system is nearing collapse with no help coming from government. Our schools didn't have enough staff. Many times they didn't even have teachers for every class. Our premier openly mocked mask use and called a global pandemic a cold. The workers of New Brunswick faced disrespect from government at almost every turn, and they continue to show up. They continue to deliver the essential services their fellow New Brunswickers needed. Many of our members were asked to take on additional roles, move away from their families for weeks at a time to help in crisis situations, in nursing homes, patrol the borders, be supply teachers in schools. Each time they answered the call, they showed up. The working people of New Brunswick were the heroes of the pandemic, but as soon as it came time to reward them for their hard work, their dedication, those heroes were being offered zeros when it came to negotiations. The Premier came out and stated 1 year of zeros and 3 years of 1% increases was all he was offering public sector employees. They hid their financials as long as they could, missing reporting deadlines without consequences to hide their near $1 billion surplus. The unions of New Brunswick banded together to take on this challenge. About 90% of public sector unions had been without a contract for several years, some as many as 5 years. Good pay raises were finally secured as there were strikes and strike votes in the works. We currently have 4 contracts completed with several more on the horizon. In terms of social changes, the New Brunswick Union has made gains in some key areas through our activism. We secured 5 paid sick days for victims of domestic violence, with additional days of unpaid leave and the guarantee of job security for all New Brunswickers. However, we will continue to push for a total of 10 days paid leave. This work also resulted in our partnership with the Board of the Domestic and Intimate Partner Violence in the Workplace Committee, which recently revamped and relaunched its toolkit to help victims of domestic violence in all its forms. The committee has aligned us with like-minded groups within government, public and private sectors, amplifying our voice. We have also successfully lobbied government to start providing free menstrual products in schools, grades 6 to 12. Again, this is a good start, but we're pressing for more. We're currently lobbying for free menstrual products in the provincial libraries as a diverse group of people from all walks of life access these facilities. Our hope is that this can be achieved by the end of the year. Both initiatives came from resolutions submitted and voted on by our members. We have many others in various stages. Our members are leading the way in positive changes for our province, just as they've led the way in battling this pandemic and standing up for the rights of all New Brunswick workers.
A lot can happen in a union in 3 years, and it has. The face of OPSEU SEFPO changed with the election of J.P. Hornick as our president and Lori Nanskeville as our first vice president treasurer. Another historic decision was made at Convention 2022 as members voted overwhelmingly to give provincial committee status to the Coalition of Racialized Workers and the Rainbow Alliance ARC-NCL. OPSEU SEFPO delegates also passed an amendment to the union's constitution that requires all elected officials to participate in mandatory dismantling anti-black racism and anti-Indigenous racism training. We have also created an extensive curriculum for staff and members that's been praised as groundbreaking and highly effective. Under the leadership of the Coalition of Racialized Workers, OPSEU SEFPO created an award of merit and scholarship in honor of Fred Upshaw, who served as the union's first and to date only black president. Reconciliation with Indigenous peoples remains a top priority. OPSEU SEFPO works closely with the Indigenous Circle to raise awareness and develop concrete strategies to address issues like clean drinking water. The Circle hosted the OPSEU SEFPO Water Summit in conjunction with World Water Day this year. In response to the pandemic, OPSEU SEFPO's Provincial Young Workers Committee hosted a virtual conference last summer, focusing on how to organize, mobilize, and strategize using digital media. And OPSEU SEFPO has fought hard to remove barriers to women's full equality and continues to battle for pay equity. Our Provincial Women's Committee is leading these conversations. Since the last NUPGE convention, over 15,000 workers have joined our ranks, and OPSEU SEFPO has swelled to more than 180,000 members. Some 3,700 education workers with the Peel District School Board joined, and our ranks have also been bolstered by hundreds of frontline healthcare workers. The COVID-19 pandemic created considerable challenges, and the union worked hard to protect all frontline workers. Job one was getting them proper PPE. We also ensured that healthcare and corrections workers made the short list for second vaccinations. OPSEU SEFPO had 2 work stoppages: staff at Black Creek Community Health Centre and couriers and clerical staff at Life Labs in Toronto. Our members engaged in innovative and strategic bargaining with difficult employers, such as the LCBO and the colleges. We also negotiated a deal in the Ontario Public Service. This is just a glimpse into the recent challenges and achievements of over 180,000 Ontario trade union members who proudly belong to OPSEU SEFPO.
People on social media are mocking Molson Beer after it locked out its employees at a Toronto brewery. How do you come out as the worst looking beer company this year when there's one called Corona?
Good memories are forever, said the dog on the tombstone. If you're living underneath the bridge, man, all roads lead to home. I got a hidden flask, I'm paid in cash, got a cross above my bed. You know, I hitchhiked from Chicago, and a man walked up and said, "This is a union town, all down the line. This is a union town, all down the line. And if you come to strip our rights away, we'll give you hell every time. This is a union town, all down the line." Today the policeman's a union man, brother firefighter's my friend, and the kids locked in the Capitol are fighting till the end. And we're not gonna break tonight, and we're not gonna bend. Some say the union's down, but I asked around, and everybody said, "This is a union town, all down the line. This is a union town, all down the line. And if they come to strip our rights away, we'll give them hell every time. This is a union town, all down the line." A reaction, equal and opposite. That's why, my friend, the blood tastes good every time I'm hit. I got a will to win and a Cheshire grin. Yeah, the night watchman is near. And you can't get it where you're at, but you can sure get it here. So come rain or sleet or dark or night, come wind or frigid snow, there's 100,000 in the streets, and that number's gonna grow. And when we put the governor on trial, I'll be in the front row. Just take a look around, we're a union town. 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go. This is a union town, a union town. All down the line, this is a union town, a union town. All down the line, and if they come to strip our rights away, we'll give them hell every time.
They've locked you out. Which one is it? Are you essential or are you not essential? Or are only you essential when it's convenient for them to be essential? Which one is it? We're only going to get stronger. We need to get everybody involved, and we need to keep pushing. We need to keep moving forward.
This is a union town, all down the line. All down.
So we're going to send a message right now. We're going to tell the employer, and what I want is everybody to face that way so they can hear us. All right? We're going to tell the employer what we want right now. No contract.
No peace.
No contract.
No peace.
No contract.
No peace.
Fair wages.
Yeah.
Fair wages.
Yeah.
No contract.
No peace.
No contract.
No peace.
No contract.
No peace.
Fair wages.
Yeah.
When the pandemic hit, everyone was affected. It happened so quickly. But we worked together to overcome so much. During one of the most trying times of our lives. Together, we made a real difference. Behind the scenes and on the front lines, we stood, making sure people got the help and protection they needed. We adjusted to a new reality of balancing family with an entirely new way of working. We made sure Manitobans were supported and cared for. We adapted to keep people safe and our public services working. And through it all, we kept Manitoba going, even when so much of our world came to a standstill. We all made sacrifices for our families, for our friends, for our communities.
MGEU members really went above and beyond during the pandemic. Honestly, their dedication has been truly amazing. The crisis has shown Manitobans just how important it is for governments to invest in our public services and how strong we are when we all work together.
As public service providers, we have so much to be proud of. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We make it all happen. And we're stronger together.
We tell stories to connect, to share culture, to build community. We tell stories because stories tell us things don't always have to be this way. Stories help us come up with solutions, to organize, to hope. SGEU's story began over a century ago in 1913 when a small group of civil servants gathered in Regina to establish the Saskatchewan Civil Service Association. They didn't know then that their humble membership of under 300 would grow into a labor movement representing over 20,000 workers province-wide. They just wanted to connect, to share stories. With those stories came a renewed sense of purpose. A few decades and a new constitution later, we were officially recognized as a union after the passing of the 1944 Trade Union Act. In 1945, the union negotiated its first collective agreement for the public service, the first of its kind in Canada. The new contract included wage increases, 3-week minimum vacation, overtime pay, cumulative sick leave, a grievance procedure, and equal pay for equal work. A new chapter in SGEU history had begun. In the coming decades, SGEU would confront its most difficult challenges yet. Faced with privatization, hostile legislation, cutbacks, and layoffs, we knew we had our work cut out for us. We also knew it was a decisive moment in the story of Saskatchewan and its people, and we had to act. SGEU stood together, stood strong, and fought hard to protect public services in Saskatchewan. SGEU continued to do the work it was founded to do. We continued to tell the stories of Saskatchewan workers while listening to the stories of others. We supported campaigns, became affiliated with several labor organizations, joined union coalitions, and collaborated on community events. In the past few years, SGEU has supported workers during the pandemic, campaigned for paid sick leave, advocated for public education, and fought to end private long-term care. In 2021, we elected our first Indigenous Vice President, a position dedicated to Indigenous advocacy. We are committed to truth and reconciliation and working with Indigenous peoples for the betterment of all communities in our province. Our story is far from over. Though we continue to face challenges, SGEU strives to engage with our members, to champion fairness and equity, and to improve the lives of working people throughout Saskatchewan. The pages that follow are blank. Let's write the next chapter together.
I have a question for you all. What kind of power? Union power! Penny, can you hear us now? My friends, on behalf of 27,000 HSA members, we all stand united with AUP, nurses, all healthcare workers involved.
And a man walked up and said, "This is a union town, a union town. All down the line, this is a union town, all down the line. And if you come to strip our rights away, we'll give you hell every time. This is a union town, all down the line. Today the policeman's a union man, brother firefighter's my friend. And the kids locked in the Capitol are fighting till the end. And we're not gonna break tonight, and we're not gonna bend. Some say the union's down, but I asked around, and everybody said, this is a union town, all down the line. This is a union town, all down the line. And if they come to strip our rights away, we'll give them hell every time. This is a union town, all down the line. A reaction, equal and opposite. That's why, my friend, the blood tastes good every time I'm here. I got a will to win and a Cheshire grin. Yeah, the night watchman is near, and you can't get it where you're at. but you can sure get it here. So come rain or sleet or dark or night, come wind or frigid snow, there's 100,000 in the streets, and that number's gonna grow. And when we put the governor on trial, I'll be in the front row. Just take a look around, we're a union town. 1, 2, 3, 4, let's go. This is a union town, a union town. All down the line, this is a union town.
It's a fight for survival. Staying late, arriving early, working extra shift after extra shift. Sometimes they want to give up, but they can't stop because all of us depend on these specialized healthcare professionals. But with far too few doing far too much, their lives are being turned upside down. And if we don't help them now, they can't help us.
My name is Kane Say, and I'm one of the thousands of health science and community social service professionals working in BC. We are burnt out. I work as a bioinformatics coordinator, and I am just one of many different kinds of specialized health professionals protecting the public, fighting the pandemic, and we are burnt out. We have worked long hours. We have worked short of staff. We have worked overtime past the point of exhaustion, and we are burnt out. We have put our health and our lives at risk. We have been attacked by anti-science protesters. We haven't seen a decent pay increase in years. And what are we? Today we are going to do what we do every day. We push through our exhaustion and our frustration, and we are going to beat the crap out of COVID.
Started off as confusion. Nobody knew what really was going on. It felt kind of like we were just kind of put in there, you know, like here's your PPE and we just got to get to work and take care of these people.
The health minister every day on the TV was telling people to call 811. Our reader board where we see how many calls are coming through is broken because the call volume has gone up so much.
Everyone was scared to come to work, and I think especially people with families, with children, elderly, but we knew we had our obligation to our job and to our province to keep the economy going. As an OHS member, I was getting asked questions from beginning of the shift to the end of the shift.
You get a lot more questions during a pandemic. It's a lot of extra work as a steward.
Members were worried, like what are our rights as workers? You know, how can we refuse unsafe work? There's a lot of mental fatigue even right now with our members because this is still ongoing.
We were already going through a pandemic with the opioid crisis. You know, it's kind of causing our mental health to deteriorate a bit because we're taking on so much more. You know, I think it's just all kind of just piling up.
Many union members don't realize the power they have being in a union. It isn't the union and us, we are the union.
When we were deemed essential workers, we weren't on the list of people that actually got the pay, and it just made the workers angry. We started a campaign to let the government know that, and the public know that we deserve essential pay.
At the end of the day, we all are going to get through this, and I think that we're going to start to realize exactly where we're going to have to do some changes in our society.
When people see me in my scrub and my ID, they treat me differently. I said, oh, she's a frontline worker.
Even without COVID, we really need to invest in more frontline staff.
Moving forward, we can move towards bargaining, and we can show solidarity and show our government and our employers that, we are a strong force.